Gasu, is part of the Heater family. A fighting prodigy, he serves as the family's muscle and is the central antagonist of the Granola the Survivor saga. Gas was with his siblings in the aftermath of the Frisia force taking over planet Serial. Upon encountering Bardock seemingly about to kill the survivors of the Purge, Gas shielded himself and his siblings when Bardock turned on them, and then went to hunt him and the survivors down. Gas caught up with the group and battled Bardock. The fight resulted in Gas using his strongest form to have a chance. However, despite his strength, Gas was defeated by Bardock, despite his strength due to Bardock focusing entirely on victory to overwhelm him, forcing Elec to step in and shoot him, although not before both brothers strongly hinted at knowledge of a plan Frisia had in store for Bardock and the other Scions. Gas came with Elec to see about the bounty hunter from Serial who had been made a big deal about, with this turning out to be a young Granola. Elec chose to recruit Granola, much to Gas' disdain as he disliked the Serialian and found him unnecessary. Gas and the other Heaters were created by Toriyama. He helped Toyotara with designs for them, putting special emphasis on getting their designs right. Gas' name comes from Gas. Appearance. Gas was originally the shortest of the Heater family, lacking both eyebrows and nose, with dark turquoise circles under his eyes, long purple dreadlocks, pointy ears and turquoise skin. He wears a white bodysuit under a red jacket with golden accents, a mind restraint similar to a headband with bones, a pair of blue boots with white soles and a golden buckle on each and a Heater symbol on his chest. 40 years ago, he looked slightly younger with a shorter loosened hair due to his headband's lack. After Elec wished him to become the strongest mortal in Universe 7, he became more adult in appearance, having grown to be the tallest of the Heaters with a noticeable increase in muscle mass and a more mature face. Also, the flaps of the red suit he wears now extend from his hips all the way down to below his knees. Upon awakening from his rampage and gaining control over his full power, his forehead grew and thickened slightly with horns sprouting downwards from his temples. After transforming once again by burning up his body's cells in need of power, his body turns decrepit, with a skinnier body and sunken skin while his clothes become noticeably more torn up on upper and lower parts of his red tunic. After taking a powerful blast from Granola that was charged with his life energy, his body withered away drastically, with many wrinkles on his skin, and his scara completely blackened out with white ring pupils and his left eyebrow always raised. Over the course of the following battle, he shed more and more flesh, with the left side of his mouth exposing his teeth. Personality. Gas is a quiet individual who lets his actions speak louder than his words. Focused and extremely loyal to his family, Gas is usually the first one to jump in to defend them at the first sight of danger, especially his brother Elec, whom he follows and obeys without question. His loyalty to his family was strong enough that not even Goku's attempt at talking him out of his actions as well as citing past experience regarding brothers deterred him from attempting to conquer the universe for Elec, which eventually left Gas shocked at Elec revealing his true nature and calling him worthless scum. However, regardless, he still remained loyal to his brother, immediately trying to achieve his goal of eliminating Frisia when the tyrant made his appearance. Unlike previous foes in the series, Gas takes a very serious and pragmatic approach to fighting his enemies, usually trying to eliminate the threats as quickly as possible. With that being said, Gas is a very prideful individual. Due to his prodigious strength, he likes to fight enemies when he wants and on his own terms. This was first seen by his displeasure of Granola working for the Heaters as a bounty hunter, as Gas believed he already provided enough value as the family's muscle. He was also displeased and Elec barred him from fighting Granola the first time. He was also less than enthused at the prospect of using the Dragon Balls to artificially boost his strength, as he believed he had more than enough power already and was initially very reluctant to use his newly gained powers, although he would ultimately come around. In spite of all this, one of Gas' major character flaws stems from his loss against the Scion Bardock during the invasion of planet Serial 40 years prior. Despite the fact that the Heater far outclassed the Scion, Gas was defeated. This loss seemed to have mentally impacted Gas, who has held a grudge since then, causing him to obsessively train and refine his abilities to avoid the same situation. While in his berserk form, during a short scuffle with Goku, he had a flashback of the moment of his defeat at the hands of Bardock, which caused him to recoil in fear. However, with some encouragement from Elec, Gas was seemingly able to overcome this trauma to some degree. Likewise, despite his hatred for Bardock, he seems to hold the grit and determination he showed in their fight in high regards, something that he does not see in Goku, much to his disappointment. In the final hours of his lifespan, Gas was still unaware that his power was destroying his body, and even ignored self-preservation entirely, willing to fly into energy blasts to accomplish his goals of victory. It was only after overhearing Elek's claim that Gas' lifespan was running out that he stopped fighting, shocked by the revelation that he was dying, his loyalty dwindling. Upon Frisia's arrival, this shock faded as he remembered his older brother's goal to kill Frisia, still determined to follow the Heater's plan, which ultimately cost him his life. Power. While originally very weak and the weakest of the Heaters, he is praised by his older brother Elek as a fighting prodigy that could one day surpass Frisia himself, soon enough becoming the strongest of the Heaters. 40 years ago, during the Scion invasion of planet Serial, Gas fought against Bardock. However, despite the tremendous gap in strength, to which Bardock was seriously injured even despite managing to block an attack from Gas, and with Bardock's own attacks being described as like pinpricks against Kaioshin, Gas opted to use his first transformation stage due to Bardock's tenacity, to which he continued to beat the Scion down. However, even after taking on his Berserk's second transformation in frustration at Minato's interference, Gas was defeated as a result of Bardock's absolute focus on victory, causing him to evolve and become far more powerful than before. In the present day, Gas is far stronger than he was 40 years ago, easily able to defeat Granola in an instant. Later on, despite Granola having used the Serial Dragon Balls to become the most powerful mortal warrior in all of Universe 7, and effortlessly defeated Oil and Maki, Gas still desired to fight Granola. To which, Elek told Gas he thought he might have beaten or been equal to Granola if they had fought. Thanks to Elek's wish, Gas becomes the strongest in the universe, surpassing Granola. He is able to easily beat down the injured Granola, and then easily overwhelms a partially healed perfected Super Saiyan Blue Goku, to which Maki remarks he may have not even needed the wish to defeat their foes. When fighting a fully restored Granola, Gas initially struggles against the Cerealian as he was reluctant to use his newfound powers, relying instead on his original techniques. As the fight progresses, he starts to dabble with his new powers, but remains at a disadvantage due to his lack of experience with them, notably being unable to keep up with Granola's use of instant transmission. However, as the fight continues, the Heater begins to refine his new skills, slowly regaining the advantage and fighting on even grounds against Granola, with their battle tipping towards a stalemate, forcing the Cerealian into a sacrificial gambit to land a critical blow on Gas. Eventually Elek steps in, taking away the headband at suppressed Gas power, causing him transform into his Berserk transformation, completely outclassing Granola at this point and violently pummeling him across the battlefield with little effort, as well as Goku, Vegeta and even the other Heaters. With further coaxing and manipulation from his older brother, Gas managed to regain control over his mind and powers, regaining his first stage transformation in the process. Elek noted that now Gas had truly become the strongest warrior in Universe 7. In this awakened state, Gas was able to cripple Granola and then handle Goku, who was using Autonomous Ultra Instinct and Perfect Super Saiyan Blue with little effort, while also using the fight to test out his new powers. Likewise, he could fly across deep space at extreme speeds that surpassed that of spaceships, crossing from a faraway planet to planet Serial in a matter of roughly 20 minutes. After Goku and Vegeta were healed by Mona Ito, they teamed up against Gas with a new resolve to focus entirely on victory as Bardock had. Despite both using perfected Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego respectively, Gas still held the upper hand against the two, overwhelming the duo even when both worked in tandem to finish him with Vegeta's Beerus Ball. Elek believes this is due to the fact that Gas was granted his power after the Scions acquired their most powerful forms. When Vegeta continued the fight alone, Gas continued to hold the edge at first. But as the fight continued, the scales tipped in the prince's favor due to Ultra Ego converting the massive damage he took into additional strength. Eventually Vegeta grew strong enough to make the Heater recoil in fear at the prince's failed last attack as the latter collapsed from the injuries taken. When facing Goku once more, who had opted for true Ultra Instinct, Gas struggled against Goku, with the Scion noting that at this point he held a slight edge against Gas. However, upon a second intervention from Elek, who proceeded to verbally abuse and manipulate Gas, the younger Heater procced to tap into his new power further, causing him to assume an elder, decrepit form. In this new form, despite his much older and somewhat frail look, Gas' strength, speed, skill, and reflexes are further augmented. He proceeds to overwhelm Goku's empowered Sign form with a variety of new and improved abilities and nearly finish him, before Granola interrupted the fight with a surprise attack. It would take the combined efforts of Goku and Vegeta to slow Gas down long for the weakened Cerealian to shot Gas down with a charged Ki Blast. Despite their combined efforts, Gas managed to withstand Granola's final attack, though his body had further deteriorated as a result. Gas is capable of fighting against both Goku's empowered Sign form and Vegeta's Ultra Ego, yet due to his shortening lifespan, Goku and Vegeta perform better than before. Vegeta's punch is capable of ripping off part of Gas' face, and a single kick from Goku breaks the heater's arm and his flesh. As Frieza arrived, Gas bulks up his body and attempts to kill Frieza, but the Emperor easily kills Gas with a single punch. It was then revealed that Frieza was exempt as a factor from Gas' wish, due to being in a separate dimension at the time, and likewise drastically increase his might from 10 years' worth of training in the said dimension. Statements by guidebooks and authors. Prior to LX's wish to Taranbo, Gas' strength surpassed the likes of Nappa and probably the Ginyu Force. His strength was about on par with Abo and Kato from Dragon Ball, the return of Son Goku and friends. Abilities. Transformation. Gas is capable of transforming into a state which unleashes his primal instincts. 2 levels of this state appear. The first is a slightly more muscular version of his base state but with horns, which uses a portion of this state's full power. Even just this portion of power is difficult to control, and so when Gas completely lost control in battle with Bardock 41 years ago, he lost control of this power from then on and had to wear a restraint to avoid unleashing it. When Gas loses control of this power, he immediately takes on the full extent of this power and transforms into a berserker. It causes his muscle mass to grow tremendously, his eyes to go blank, his incisors to become fangs, and horns to grow hanging downward from his temples. In this state, he becomes a rampaging brute who cannot discern friend from foe. However, upon facing Bardock's likeness in Goku and hearing his brother's words of encouragement, Gas underwent an awakening, finally able to control his true unleashed power, regaining his self-awareness and emotional control and regaining the ability to use the form without going berserk. Unlock potential. As a result of the wish making him fully developed rather than enhanced, Gas appears much adult-like, becoming considerably taller and muscular with a more mature face. In this state, he surpasses the likes of Granola, Vegeta, and Goku. In just his base state, his power and abilities are comparable to Granola's full power state. Cell-burning transformation. By stealing his resolve and unleashing everything, Gas takes on a new form. In this state, Gas' physical appearance becomes decrepit, with a skinnier body and sunken skin, but becomes far more powerful. Gas burns through his body's cells like fuel in this state, which is the reason for the drastic increase in power alongside the decrease in physical health. Goku notes that it leaves his power and body completely out of sync with each other. However, the feeling of doing this keeps Gas in a state of ecstasy rather than pain. It is later revealed the form was a side effect of the earlier wish to the Cerealian Dragon Balls for Gas to become the strongest being in existence due to the life-shortening nature of the wish. When he rematches Goku and Vegeta, the form was taking a significant toll on him, warping his appearance even more to the extent he appeared and acted zombie-like, with his only realizing what he had become after both Maki yelled it out to him in a desperate attempt to save him, as well as catching a glimpse of his reflection in the river. Another benefit to this form is also revealed. No matter the damage Gas takes, he can keep on fighting, even being able to move and punch using a broken arm. Upon facing off with Frieza, Gas proved able to power up even further in this state, becoming as bulky as he had previously in his berserk form. However, despite this, he was still killed in a single blow by Black Frieza and turned to dust.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.